time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Buck Baits,
Better the Hunt,
Rebel 6 Rubs and Seasonings,
Easy Cut,
Limb Walker Game Calls,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Packer Max,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Scent Blocker,
Scent Lock,
Copper John,
and Stanislawski Release Aids. And don't forget, you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin tonight with Dan DeFaw. We got the coronavirus scare going on, but we ain't scared.
Got your toilet paper?
We got plenty of toilet paper. We got some meat. I got my gloves right here, and I got my face mask, my Scent Lock face mask.
You're good. You're ready to roll.
So,
then you got your hand sanitizers.
Yeah.
We'll talk about those later.
I got my permethrin here for ticks for turkey season. I got my Oz unit from Scent Lock. So yeah, the Adams household is prepared, and we are ready to battle this thing.
You know what? Are you ready to battle?
Yeah.
But we have a question up on the.
Oh, that's right.
Live.
We're going to put the question up tonight. Let's do that right now. Are you worried about coronavirus? Yes. I'm deathly afraid. No. I'm not scared at all. Or somewhere in the middle. Yeah, I'm a little concerned. So
right, exactly.
Chime in on that tonight. So, Billy Hoffman says, want to shoot indoors with me?
He's over at LOL.
I think you're sick, aren't you? Didn't you have coronavirus or something? I saw a post of yours.
Right.
So, but let's get right into the show tonight.
Yeah, we got a special guest. I met this gentleman down at ATA.
Okay.
And, I talked to him, thought we'd get him onto the show about trading trips for trades.
That's right.
And I want to introduce Slade Johnston of Trips for Trade.
Hey, Slade, how's it going, man?
Hey, guys. Doing great. How are you guys today?
We're doing great. Roll Tide, man. I see you're from Alabama. We got it up here on the window. So from one Alabamian to another, Roll Tide. Got to have some fun here along the way.
We could have finished a little stronger this year. But.
Right? Yeah. What's up with that? But you know what? Hopefully we get the season going, and hopefully we come back strong and roll right on through again. So we'll see what happens. So, but Danny, you said you met Slade down at ATA.
Yeah, we met. I met Slade at the ATA booth of Buck Baits.
Okay.
And Mr. Buck Baits himself introduced us, and we started talking a little bit, and felt it was a good fit for him to get on the show because he got an interesting website that he has, Trips for Trade. And Slade, could you give us a little background of Trips for Trade and what it's all about? And it sounded really interesting to me that I could trade something to somebody else for a trip and a trade, and so explain that to us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we really like to kind of typically start with the story behind how it all began. And but essentially what Trips for Trade is just a platform for swapping trips. And so, for example, you take somebody on a hunting or fishing trip with you, and in exchange, you go on a trip with them. We also do more than just the hunting and fishing, also beach condos, lake houses, sports tickets, skiing, really any kind of trip that you have access to, or even a place that you have that might be vacant one weekend, you can now leverage that to go on new trips. But the story I was mentioning is something that I feel like a lot of people can relate with. That it kind of tells the passion behind this business. Is when I was growing up, my family was just big hunters, especially my grandfather, and every chance that I could, I was in the woods with him. Even on the weekdays, he'd check me out of school because I had buck fever, and every weekend we were hunting or fishing something on the farm. And when he was real well known for being one of the best turkey hunters in West Alabama. That was his passion, and he was really good at it. And I tried to learn as much as I could from him, and really just kind of caught that bug of being addicted to turkey hunting and wanting to be in the woods every chance I could. When I was in middle school, he had one bird left on his Grand Slam, and for those that aren't turkey hunters, this is harvesting all 4 subspecies of turkeys in the U.S., and requires traveling to do that. And I desperately wanted to go on this last trip with him, but he told me no. Once I got to college and got a little bit older, we would start mine. And really what he was saying was it was a boys' trip, and he wasn't taking a teenager along with him. But anyways, he went on and finished his Grand Slam, and I always kind of looked forward to getting mine and having it mounted on the wall beside his. And my senior year high school, he got sick, and then my freshman year of college, he passed away, and that was really the toughest thing I've been through. That was the first family member I lost, and that was my best friend and hunting buddy. So kind of, I guess, in the midst of all that, over the next year or so, my dad had kind of was talking to me, and he's like, "Why don't you and I start your Grand Slam kind of in memory of him?"
Nice.
And I was like, "I would love to do that." And he said, "Well, plan us some trips." And so I started looking at outfitters around the country, and realized this was going to be a $5,000 to $10,000 expense to go on these 3 other trips, and just really didn't make sense for us at the time, and I didn't want to ask my dad to pay for that, and I knew I couldn't afford it, and I was like, but we always share our property. Been very blessed to have property here in West Alabama that's got some really good turkey hunting on it. I was like, why not take somebody on a turkey hunt and exchange it for one of these others for subspecies? Mm-hmm. And so through a social media app, I found a guy in Colorado that had been posting some pictures of Merriam's, and I said, it looks like you guys got some good Merriam hunting. Would y'all want to come shoot at Eastern in Alabama? And he said, man, we're covered up in Merriam's. You and your dad come on. But I hear y'all have hogs in Alabama. Could I bring my son and come hog hunting? And I was like, absolutely. Because for us in Alabama, it's just a nuisance. They're tearing up everything. And I was like, basically, we would pay you to come shoot hogs at our farm. But anyways, him and his son, they came to our farm, and they both killed their first hog, and then my dad and I went to Colorado to start my Grand Slam, and that really was the kind of the very first swap, and we had such a great experience. We started a friendship that now we swap basically every year. I go back mule deer hunting, and this next year we're hopefully going to be able to go elk hunting, and he still comes and does like a deer, hog, and duck combo at our farm. And so just an incredible experience. And started kind of doing our due diligence at this time. I'm going through business school at Alabama, and I'm about to start grad school, and really just started looking at the business side of this, and was swapping football tickets at Alabama for fishing, and surfing in California for turkey hunting here, and realized there was an opportunity to do more than just hunting and fishing. And so that's when we brought in the other categories of vacation, sports, and adventure. And really that's what makes us different than anybody else out there, is we're the only place where you can combine, where you can leverage your lake house to go on a hunting or fishing trip. And so now, fast forward to where we are today, we've got trips in 46 states and 9 different countries. And really about anything you want to do, or anywhere you want to go, we've got a really cool trip to go on there.
I tell you what, we got to talk after the show. Tickets to the University of Alabama football, right on.
Oh boy,
we can work something out.
Oh boy,
no, that's a great story. Especially I know the hunting tradition down in Alabama and how deep rooted it is, and that's when I started cutting my teeth with my dad. In the outdoors up here in Michigan. I mean, we moved up here when I was a little kid. I mean, I was a baby actually, but I spent a lot of summers down there, and I actually deer hunted down there one time. And I've always wanted to go back down and turkey hunt. My dad still lives down there right now. I mean, he moved back after he retired, but that tradition is so deep and so rich, and being able to share that with other people and trade, that's a great idea. To me, it's like, duh, why didn't somebody think of this before? So, I mean, hats off to you for coming up with a great concept. So, and getting to that point now.
That. And that's something.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say you're absolutely right. There's the tradition aspect is something that a lot of people can have kind of related with us on, is because so many people have that father, that grandfather that really gotten them introduced to the outdoors and enjoy making the memories of that. And then there's so many people that are also, yes, you might could afford to pay an outfitter and go on a nice trip somewhere, but that just doesn't make sense to do that every year. But yet you still kind of want to check things off your bucket list with those closest to you. And, so that's where we come in, and we're saving people typically over $1,000, sometimes $5,000 on these trips. And so it just makes it so much more economical and available for our users to just swap for them.
Well, looking at the way you've got this set up, talk a little bit about, okay, so let's say Danny and I, we want to join Trips for Trade. Talk about the cost involved. Talk about how we go about doing that and how it all works with the other person. I mean, how this all comes together.
Correct. Yeah. So we run off of a membership model. It's an annual membership. We typically charge $125, and we've got a special promo code for you guys. But yes, typically $125 for the year. You can go on as many swaps as you want, and there's no transaction fees. And the reason we chose this model was, one, we wanted to encourage going on mini trips, because one of our core values of the company is to really just increase the amount of outdoorsmen out there and the access to hunting and fishing trips. And so, we didn't want to just charge fees. We wanted people going on many trips every year, or as many as they want. And also from the access piece, now we can let, like I said earlier, somebody that lives in the city and they've always wanted to hunt but haven't ever paid an outfitter and don't have access to property, but maybe they have that lake house or that beach condo or season tickets. Now it's another way for them to get access. So that was kind of the idea, is let's do this membership model where it's a cheap fee. Basically, if you go on one trip in a year, or if you go on one trip in really 3 or 4 years, you're still going to save more money comparably to paying high rental fees or outfitter fees. And then from there, what we would want to do is we're real big on credibility, and we try to address that as many ways as we can. So we would go on and help you create a listing, make sure it looks the best it can. It's got details, description, photos of your trip, and then we push that live. And so basically this serves as like an ad for people that have what you're looking for. They can reach out to you. And when you reach out to other members on the site, we'll send the link to your listings with it. So not only are they getting a custom message from you that's tailored to that swap request, they're also being able to immediately look at your photos and see the details of the trip, and this is helping keep everybody accountable. From there, once you find a match, you go to their farm, they come to yours. You guys will figure out what dates work, how many people to bring, and kind of all those finer details, and we just kind of step back and provide support along the way.
Okay, I got you. Facilitating this and getting the people together, how many people do you have on the site, roughly? How many members do you have?
So we're still at about 800 to 1,000 right now. This is still very early stages for us. We've been open to the public a little over a year now. And we really haven't spent a ton of money on, marketing and advertising. We started going to shows and this year in 2020, and now we're trying to grow it. But, our growth that we've seen so far has been organic, with people finding us on Google. And, we know that we're adding value. And just in the small, I guess, in the last year, we've connected a little over 100 people on trades, and just seeing those success stories and photos from, hunting in Hawaii to hunting elk in Colorado, or, overnight tuna trips in Louisiana. Seeing those success stories and hear the friendships that are made, people that have became business partners out of this, and it's been, just a success in itself. That's really why we're in this business.
All right, I tell you what, we're bumping up here on our first break. Let's take
as we go to our first break, Slade, where could we go to find out more information for the people that are listening, and then let us know where we can go here? Where can we go?
Yeah, awesome. So the best place to check us out is tripsfortrade.com, and that's the number 4. You can go to our website. You can look at all the trips we have available right now. You can filter them, and then if it's something that you want to do, then you just create an account at the top right. Make sure to use the promo code UpNorth20, and that'll save you 20% on that annual membership. So it'll make it $100 for the year, and then it'll just walk you through, add some details about what you have to offer and what you're looking for. And then if you have some questions or that you need answered, you could reach out to me at Slade at tripsfortrade.com, or just shoot us a message on the website.
Well, there you go, guys. I tell you what, when we take a break, whatever you're watching us on right now, don't use that. Go get your phone or your laptop that you're not using. Get over there, take a look at it while we're in the commercial break. That way you guys can check it out. And if you got any questions, we'll answer them live here on the show.
And when we come back, we'll talk more with Slade.
All right, we're going to step outside, and we'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Second segment of the show. We're talking with Slade Johnston from Trips for Trade in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Roll Tide. Yeah, Danny, I'm sorry. I had to say it again.
Really?
I don't get to say that on the show very much.
No, you don't. I'll allow it.
You know, it is what it is.
You really can't say it too much either.
You can't say it too much. You know, I get grief for it at work, but I don't care. I mean, all these Michigan fans up here, it's hey, it is what it is. You know.
Maybe he's a closet Auburn fan.
No, don't bite your tongue. You want me to slap him for you, Slade? don't cuss him.
No, we accept all teams here because you can, you know, some tickets might be more valuable than others, but you can still trade them all.
That's right. So Alabama tickets, you know, that would probably get you an elephant hunt in Africa. Auburn tickets, yeah, that might get you a fishing trip down in a gar hole somewhere.
Jeez, really? Wow.
I'm sorry. Hey, I got family members who are Auburn fans, and we give each other grief. So that's just the way.
Totally get it.
That's just the way it goes, man. Come on.
So Slade, you're talking about you were I think it was 46 states, 9 countries. What's the most exotic you think of, like, out of the countries, ones that you see there that you have on your website?
We've got some really exotic stuff, especially in South Africa. I mean, you know, some of those animals over there, I can't even pronounce the names of them. You know, about everything you can think of, they have in these different safari hunts. We got some really neat trips in New Zealand, even like, you know, helicopter tours and, you know, stuff even outside of hunting and fishing. Let's see, far as just some really jam-up hunting and fishing in Canada, turkey hunting and fishing in Mexico, trying to think, Australia, you know, really.
So you definitely can
just a lot of really good.
You definitely can really go. You really can, if you wanted to circle the world, pretty much you could trade yourself around the world to get around it.
Yeah, just got
absolutely. And what we see is a lot of the guys, especially these that some of about half of our users are outfitters, the other half are just private guys or people that, you know, even some really avid public land guys. But a lot of these guys overseas that are outfitters come to the States for several months to go to trade shows, and they're looking for something to do while they're there, and they'll swap, you know, something of way difference in value. Just because, you know, to them, it's just the aspect of time. If you cover your travel to get over there, you know, the animals are so plentiful there at some of these places that, you know, they'll swap for a really good fishing trip or, you know, a good deer hunting trip, just something that's a little bit different than what they have in their country.
You know, it's interesting you bring that up. We talked with Hendrik Botha from Matwetwe Safaris last week. He was over here. He's been over here for, what, 5 weeks?
Yeah, he's over here for 5 weeks every year.
He was flying back. Actually, they were at a trade show here in Flint, Michigan, and it got canceled this week because of everything that's going on with the coronavirus. But long story short, he's been here for 5 weeks. And I could see somebody like that come around going, yeah, you know, while I'm here, I'd like to do something. So that's a great point. I never thought about, you know, African hunts, but that'd be a way to trade and swap something out.
If we had ice, we could take them on ice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just, too, I think, you know, some really cool trips over there, just the photo safaris even. I mean, just seeing so many different new animals, that would be something that, you know, there's a lot of things over there that I really don't even care to hunt, but would just love to go see.
Absolutely. You know, it's that when we were talking with him about that was part of the packages that he had as well, was photo safaris as well as just the regular African safaris, whether it be the big 5 or just a bundle of 5 animals that, you know, they want to go over and take for a package deal. So that's a great point, you know, for people maybe looking for a different way to get over to Africa. Especially, I think airfares are going to be so cheap right now. And along those lines, with what you're doing, do you have anything on your page, or are you looking maybe down the road at putting some of these things together, like, you know, maybe with some airfare? I don't know how that all works, but is that part of your business model? You're thinking down the road and thinking out further?
It is. So we're actually about to launch a new version of our website, hopefully in the next 30 days. We've been working on it for several months now, and it'll be a custom-built site. It'll have a lot more features that are custom to what we do than what we have right now. So we're really excited about launching that. And part of that will be some different partnerships. So we're going to release our perks program, and that'll basically be where we partner with a lot of well-known brands like just example, on Friday, I think we had a different rental car company that's going to partner with us. But we'll try to partner with some airlines, and basically we can offer just discounted rates to our guys that are traveling, even all the way to just individual trip insurance if you're worried, especially about going, overseas. There's some guys we're working with where if you get hurt over there and you wanted to buy insurance for that trip, they'll send a ex-military team to air vac you out of there and get you to the nearest hospital and then get you back to the States. So, we're trying to add value everywhere we can and through the scale that we have and the partnerships that we can reach. And like I said, all that will hopefully come in the next month or so.
That's awesome, thinking outside the box, especially for the business model, but for the hunters and the outdoorsmen, fishermen, whatever. If people just want to go on, like you said, a trip, it's not necessarily hunting and fishing. It's all these other excursions as well. But that business model, thinking that way, of kind of like a one-stop shop. It's like, well, okay, I got to get airfare, or I need a rental car, or I need a hotel. Right. Well, what about insurance? We didn't think about that. Or maybe, even food chains or something like that. Restaurants or something like that, to where you can put some stuff together. So you put it all together for everybody. That's awesome. And and looking at the price, to me, you spend $100. We spend that in coffee.
Right.
Going to fast food for a couple
take
months.
Take a family out for dinner.
Yeah, take a family of 4 out for dinner. So, instead of going out for dinner that week with a family of 4, maybe you get this, use the promo code he just gave you guys and get a membership and plan a family vacation. Offer something for trade. So
right, exactly. And then you got guys who have a specialty, whether it be turkey hunting, and maybe they want to go do some whitetail somewhere else, so they can go that route. And Slade, what's your biggest popularity wise? Is that it? Like the turkey and deer hunting for the outdoors part of it? Is that like the two most popular?
I would say right now, yes. We have a ton of people that are turkey hunters on the site, and what's I guess kind of following in suit from my story and how this all got started is trying to get that Grand Slam turkey hunting. There's so many people trying to do the U.S. Slam where they're checking off all the states that have turkeys in it. And so this model works really well where somebody's trying to check off 3 or 4 states in a season possibly. Then they could swap punts for that or swap out time at their lake house or fishing, and it's a way to just do that more affordably because, like I said, that really starts to add up when you look at paying outfitters for that, or and if you're real serious about getting it done, it can be tough on public land. So yeah, turkey hunting is probably our number one. We've got a lot of guys doing offshore fishing, a lot of deer hunting. But it's really all across the board. We've got a lot of guys going on hog hunts, actually. That was a real popular one for us over the last year. But yeah, it's just really all over the place.
I just looked in, and we've got one of our supporters here at the Up North Journal, Tim Cias from Lim Walker Game Calls. He's out of West Virginia and makes turkey calls. And Tim, I know you're watching. I see you popped in here. And I know you want to go to Texas and you want to go on a turkey hunt out there. So get over to their website. Get over to Trips for Trade and trade out a hunt with somebody over there and have them come to West Virginia. You take them through the hills and hollers. And actually, I think they got bear there, deer, white-tailed deer,
yep.
Turkey. I mean, they got a lot of hunts to trade over there. So I tell you, actually, before we go to break, we got a few minutes here. Talk about maybe one of the success stories that stick in your mind, somebody trading a hunt and what came out of that.
Yeah, so one that's kind of one that we use often because it's just such a cool story is a guy in Colorado and a guy out of Texas that they connected this past year, and that the Texas guy has a boat down. He has a boat in Louisiana and a boat in Texas as well, and basically they went on an overnight tuna trip and just had an incredible time. Caught a lot of fish, and then on the flip side, he went to Colorado. Was supposed to be on a mule deer hunt, but the landowner told him, he said, "Man, the mule deer really just aren't on our property for some reason this year, or the bucks aren't. We're seeing a ton of does and some small bucks." He said, "But I really don't think that it's worth your time." He said, "But I do have an extra elk tag, and I'll let you use that if you'll just if you don't mind taking me on another fishing trip." And he said, "Absolutely, come on, you can tag along on another trip anytime you want to." And so, anyways, he went up there and killed just a 320-inch bull elk. I mean, just with a muzzle loader, and it was incredible incredible hunt. Both of those guys have left us kind of cool reviews and told us their testimonies. But and those guys are actually what I referred to earlier. Going to have started. I think they're going to go into business together on a different deal as well. So not only have they had just a super successful trip, but they built a friendship and even a business relationship out of this. And again, that's for $100 a year. That's nothing to basically get an elk hunt for free that costs I think typically about $5,000 to $7,000.
Absolutely. I mean, to me that's just wow. That's incredible.
That's an easy $5,000 to $7,000 hunt, and like you said, two guys you help connect, put it together for $100, and now it looks like they're creating a lifelong friendship if they're going to go into business together.
Right. Looking at the other trips,
Absolutely.
I mean, we talked a lot about hunting and fishing here, but do you see a lot of people starting to navigate towards the site and becoming members for, like you mentioned, tickets for games and sporting events, or maybe a ski trip or something like that? This just isn't hunting and fishing, even though that's where your passion's at, but this is for other people as well that maybe they've got a cabin up near a ski slope here in Michigan, and they can let you use the cabin and go snow skiing and trade it for maybe tickets to a University of Texas basketball game or something like that. I mean, are you seeing more of that now?
Yeah, so we really started with the hunting, especially the hunting space, but hunting and fishing, because just been very involved with NWTF and just being a hunter myself. That was kind of where my relationships were, and I wanted to start this too with people that I knew. So the first, say, 20 or 30 people that we tested this with for a year or so were just friends of mine that had hunting and fishing around the country, and so we started there with something that I knew very well, and I knew this would work, to get proof of concept and have some successful stories, and we got that very quickly in that first year, and then we opened it up to the public and started to go after some of these other categories. But we still haven't put a lot of time into other categories. We're letting it grow kind of organically. Our goal is to really target hunters, hunting and fishing right now, or outdoorsmen, and then once we I guess get a little further down the road, we'll start going after some of these, building out these other categories. But still, at the end of the day, the target person is an outdoorsman. They might not have hunting or fishing. Like I said, they might have the sports tickets or the a beach condo or lake house or something. But our site is not exclusive to that. You can still have your people that, or maybe they might even be anti-hunting, which they probably won't like our site if they are, but they can just swap vacation for vacation or sports tickets for skiing. So it's set up to where we try not to put, I guess, too much emphasis on it just being a hunting and fishing site. We want it to be open to everybody. But like I said, that is one of our core goals, is to increase the amount of outdoorsmen there are out there and the access they have to trips.
Right, I got you. Well, that makes sense.
But you know what, though? Like you said, Slade, they might be against hunting, but you don't have to click there. You can go to the section for the tickets or vacation, or you don't have to click there, so don't go there.
Yeah, well, I think if they're anti-hunting, they're not watching. Right. They're not watching the show right now, because that's what we talk about. They're not here for Alabama football. At least, well, Slade and I are, but nobody else is.
Oh, Lord.
All right, I tell you what. Let's go ahead. Let's take our next break. We'll step outside. We come back. We got a couple other things we want to talk about today, and then we'll kind of wrap things up towards the end of the show and let everybody know again. Before we go to break, let everybody know again the website that they can go to and check it out.
Yep, tripsfortrade.com, and then make sure just to click the trips tab at the top, and it'll let you kind of scroll through and filter all our trips, and you kind of start already plan out where you want to go after this coronavirus gets out of here.
There you go.
Amen to that.
Basically.
Right on. I tell you what, so let's take our next break. We come back. We'll continue to talk about a couple other things here that are related to the outdoors. And you guys just started turkey season down there, so I want to know a little bit about what's going on down there, too. So we're going to step outside, and we'll be right back after this.
Absolutely. Perfect.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Welcome back. We're back here, the third part of the show, talking about trips for trade, talking with Slade Johnston down in Alabama.
But what we haven't talked about in I don't know how many months is hunting.
Yeah.
And you know what?
We're on the doorstep of it.
We're on the doorstep. We're about a month out. I think April 20-something is the magic number.
Right.
But it sounds like down in Alabama, they started their youth season.
Yeah. Slade, you talked about that a little bit. I kind of like to talk a little bit about hunting and what's going on down there, because you're the first person I've talked to that's actually been out in the woods. And actually, I think West Virginia had their youth season as well this week, if I'm not mistaken. But how's things going down there for the birds?
Yeah, so we're in West Alabama, so right on the Mississippi line, and this weekend was the Mississippi opener for the regular season, and then the Alabama youth season. So yesterday we actually competed in a tournament in Mississippi and struck out. Some people in the tournament killed some birds, but the farm we were on, they just weren't gobbling. They had been my partner had scouted the week before and had some activity, but we saw a lot of sign and tracks, but they whooped us yesterday. And then this morning, we heard a few off the roost, but they didn't gobble well. And we had just a local youth with us, and I think we're going to slip back out after the show this afternoon and see if we can get on one in the evening. But have yet to seal the deal for him today. But the day's not over yet, so still getting after him.
Right. Well, I'm looking. The window there behind you, it looks like it's bright and sunny. I talked to my dad. I know the temps have been in the 50s and 60s down there in northern Alabama. For you guys down there with the weather and everything right now, I mean, is everything primed down there? Is everything starting to green up really well and getting at it? I mean, how are the birds reacting right now?
It is starting to turn. We've had so much water. It's been really more rain than I've ever remember. About every day has been raining, which has been a little bit of frustrating, but yeah, it's turning green outside, and I'm really worried that the season's going to be an early season for us. It was so hot during the fall this year that we were in the deer stand over New Year's and hearing turkeys gobbling, and I even called in some birds from the tree stand one day. So they've been gobbling for months, and it's just been hot and cold and flipping the switch here in Alabama. But right now they're still gobbling a little bit. Hopefully we can have a successful season.
And something else that you mentioned there that I have not heard of. I mean, I've heard of hunting contests, but I didn't know that they had hunting contests for turkeys. Explain a little bit about that and how that all went down.
Yeah, so we host one this coming weekend for opening weekend, and it'll be our fourth annual one. And what that typically looks like is we'll have 65 teams, two-man teams, so 130 hunters. And we'll do Friday night. We'll do a big registration, like steak dinner. We'll have raffles. We've got all tons of companies sponsoring it, sending raffle prizes, and we'll raffle off a few guns. And anyways, it'll be a big deal Friday night. We'll have a Calcutta where people can bet on their team, and then Saturday everybody hunts their own property or even public land, and they just have to be back at the lodge between 12 and 2 p.m. to weigh their birds in. They can kill two birds, one each. We'll have just a local game warden scoring the birds, and the combination of the score, out of that, we'll pick the top three winners, and we'll also award the biggest bird with a free taxidermy mount. So a lot of fun. People, like I said, we typically, I think last year we had 28 birds weighed in on that day, and then we'll do a big crawfish bowl, and we've got live music and just bass fishing. So it's something I look forward to every year, and I think I'm in four different tournaments this season. There's so many of them here in Alabama now, and it's about how everybody wants to spend their weekends during turkey season. It's a lot of fun, and the only thing we're worried about is this social distancing that we need to be doing. So we'll have extra hand sanitizer if we can find any. We might even start charging for a few rolls of toilet paper if anybody needs any, but we're still going turkey hunt.
Amen to that, brother. Dan, does that not sound like fun?
It does sound like fun.
I mean, I remember as a kid, we would go down south. We'd come down there for Easter, during, when they'd shut the plants down back in the 70s. That was the thing they did. So we'd load up the vehicle, and we'd all head back down south, down to the family farm. And I remember people down there talking about turkey shoots and things like that, having the big contest where they go out and they shoot their shotgun. Whoever scores best on a target will win. But I've never heard of a turkey hunting contest. That is awesome.
That is really cool to get a bunch of people like that together. And
Yeah.
like you said, Slade, you're raffling off guns and betting on teams, and that's kind of cool. And you get the local game warden involved, so it's all around fun.
Yeah. So do they use like the NWTF scoring system for the birds to give you a score?
We do. Yep. And we score the 2 birds, and we just combine the scores to have a total score.
Now does your turkey season? Now you said you weigh in between 12 and 2. Can you only hunt a certain time, like up until a certain time in the morning down there in Alabama?
No, you can hunt all day long in Alabama. We just try to have a cutoff time so that everybody can, so that we can do the crawfish and have live music. And we also don't want the birds spoiling that, people killed off the roost and having them ride around in the truck all day long. So we have one of the local ice companies brings the ice trailer, and when the people that kill early can come bring the bird and go ahead and put it in the cooler and after they score it. And so anyways, it's just kind of a good time. Most of these tournaments are about a half a day hunt.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. And matter of fact, you got Tim Cias's attention. He says West Virginia, the best Virginia youth season is April 18 and 19.
18th and 19th of April. Okay,
Yeah,
so it's coming up. They haven't started yet.
So
Gotcha.
It sounds like Missouri and Alabama are a month ahead of even West Virginia. Definitely a month ahead of us.
Yeah, well, I know down south, it was always, I always remember it being in March or middle of March when season would start. I got cousins down there that hunt and everything, and that's the thing. It's turkey season in the spring and deer hunting in the fall, and if they got some coon dogs, they'll run coon dogs on the side as well. So it's
you gotta like it. I mean, and like you said, Slade, it's you get a bunch of people together, have a good time for 2 days, and you said that you're going to be like in 4 tournaments. So yeah, you're going to be pretty busy whatever weekends you got coming up, but you're going to be having fun doing it.
Absolutely, yeah. It's so much fun. I mean, I typically feel like I donate my money. Last year we won 1 tournament, but the rest of them I think we just donated to the rest of the, to the winners. But it's just the relationships that you have there and the fun of just being with everybody and everybody telling about their hunts and big fan of crawfish or the crawfish bowl. It's definitely one of my favorite ways to spend a weekend and so like I said, I compete in about all of them that I can just for that aspect of it.
So right now with everything that's kind of going on, the craziness and people buying everything out of the stores, I take it you're not too worried about going and getting meat because, as we say, country boy can't survive. You go out and you can find some food.
That's right. Yeah, we aren't too worried about it. Obviously trying to be smart about everything, and but yeah, not too worried about it on our end. And we actually had wild turkey breast for lunch today for a little family lunch. So. We have the freezers pretty full, thankfully, and a few extra rolls of toilet paper. So I think we're going to make it okay.
It's sad that we have to talk about this on the show, but it's the state of the world right now.
It's the state of the world and everything. We're locking everything down. We're slowing everything down. The stock market decided to jump off the cliff, but then it started climbing back up amazingly.
Yeah.
And this just leads us to going to where we're going to talk about is. Having to social distance, but we like to sit around the campfire and talk hunting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do remember things like that down there as well. After a deer hunt, do you guys still run dogs down there for deer or no?
It's pretty rare.
Is it?
Some people do, but I only know a few people now.
Okay, I just remember that being a teenager down there, and we were down for Christmas break, and that was the only time I ever deer hunted down there. Was running behind dogs. They'd set you up on the edge of a 2-track and post everybody up, and all of a sudden they'd go back and cut the dogs loose and let them run. So
right.
But afterwards, after a big hunt, you come in. There's always the food, a little bit of something to drink, some desserts, music. You sit around a campfire, swapping stories, and that's what we do. That's what it's all about.
Right. Exactly.
So forget the coronavirus, man. I just
you can't. It's kind of in our face.
I tell you what. Let's go ahead with.
We had a funny story.
Go ahead.
I would say funny story. I got a text this morning from a guy that he's actually one of our members on Trips for Trade, and he said, "Man, I've got a baby that's due this week, and so before all this kind of went down, we actually have got about 200 rolls of toilet paper. We knew we were going to go through a bunch of them, and he said, "Do you think that could give me a good turkey hunt next weekend for the Alabama opener?" I was like, "Man, it might get you a lot more than just a turkey hunt."
Right? I mean, are you going to start seeing toilet paper popping up on Trips for Trade? Trade me a trip for a case of toilet paper? Maybe. I don't know.
You never know. Trade it.
We'll have to
see what goes on there with that. Well, I tell you what, let's go ahead. Let's take our next break. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show. But and we'll kind of we'll talk about some of the stuff that's in the news right now, and kind of get your take on it. Being 12, 13 hours away from where we're at up here across the country, we'll compare and contrast and see what's kind of going on down that way too. So we'll step outside, and we'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Last segment of the show, talking about Trips for Trade, talking about turkey hunting in Alabama, all kinds of good stuff today. We even mentioned the coronavirus. We haven't really talked about the poll that we got running right now. And, we got, the question was, are you worried about the coronavirus? And the reason we put it up, because, yes, it's in the news. Everybody's talking about it. So why not engage the reaction out of the outdoorsmen right now? Nobody says that they're fearful of it. 75% of the people say, yeah, they're a bit concerned, and 25% say, no, not at all. So
there you go. So kind of towards the bottom end of the spectrum.
Yeah. Well, if you got sick people or elderly people or newborns or what have you, you need to be a little concerned. You don't want people to get sick. And I think other than that, I think it's just going to run its course, kind of like the flu for most people. And Billy Hoffman, who was on, I don't know if he's still on or not, but he was talking. Remember?
Yeah, he was sick at ATA.
He stopped by the booth at ATA when we were there with PSE, and he was sick. We kept our distance from him, but he kind of looks back and thinks, well, maybe that was coronavirus at that time, because he works at one of the universities here.
Right. Exactly.
And that was right as people came back from spring break, and the university
at that time it was winter break.
I mean, winter break, not spring break. And the particular university he's at has a lot of foreign national students
coming back from foreign countries, coming back from winter break, wherever they might have spent. So the possibilities were probably pretty good. It was close to that.
I'm glad I didn't shake his hand.
Right, exactly. and why we're talking about this on the show is we've seen articles this week, and I think you posted one that due to the warmer weather, it looks like we're going to have a bad tick season, plus other bugs.
Right. With that being down south, I know Alabama has a problem with ticks and bugs. That's just a given. But so far this year, are you seeing them earlier? Are you seeing an explosion of them? I mean, what's going on down there with that?
Yes, so far we do have a really bad problem. I've had days where sitting up on a turkey and watching them crawl up your leg that you pull 10 or 15 off of you before they can latch on, hopefully. So it can get really, really bad. But so far I haven't, but I also haven't set up on a turkey yet, and that's typically when it happens. Is when you're sitting there for a while trying to call one in. I do know a few people that have pulled some off of them, but before long, in the next couple of weeks, we'll still start seeing a lot more of them. And we have seen, I know a few people now that have got diseases in Alabama from ticks, so it is something you've got to be very careful about.
Actually, Danny and I, we know somebody that works with us through Buck Baits that has the allergy, the red meat allergy.
Yeah, the red meat allergy.
It's not serious. I mean, the person that has it doesn't have it real bad, but it's like once that kind of come around a couple of years ago and we started hearing more about that, I got to thinking, I'm like, man, if I couldn't eat red meat, I mean, I'd be devastated.
Right, exactly.
I mean, you think about going out and shooting wild game and everything, and that's just what we live for. So
do you go ahead and treat your clothes with Promethean and wear the bug protective clothing?
So we do typically treat it. We use a lot of just the spray-on bug spray too, just like mosquito repellent that helps with ticks as well. And then keep thermocells, and supposedly that helps a little bit too. Is the thermocell running? We have a bad mosquito problem, so you just about have to have one of those. But you guys mentioned the red meat disease. We actually got one guy hunting in our tournament next weekend that we're actually we're doing like 149 steaks and one piece of chicken because he has the disease and can't have a steak. So it's a tough thing. You gotta you definitely as us as hunters, that's something you do not want to have.
Absolutely, I guess that kind of leads into what's going on right now across the country with this Corona deal. But something as simple like I got my can of permethrin. Spray your clothes down. I mean, I think I paid $10, maybe $12 for this can, and I've had this for 2 seasons, maybe 3 now, and there's still enough to last this season. It doesn't cost that much. Spray your stinking clothes down.
Read the directions. Yeah,
read the directions because you do not want to breathe. This stuff is nasty. You don't want to breathe it. You don't want the wind blowing in your face when you spray your clothes. But, it's taking precautions. Just like right now they're saying wash your hands. Just do that. Do the simple things to save yourself a lot of grief, in the long run. So.
Exactly. And Slade just said it, they take the time to do the preventative stuff, kind of like the coronavirus. You take that extra time, do the little bit of protection, and save yourself possibly down the road of grief, of kind of like on the extreme side of a red meat allergy,
yeah,
or
Lyme disease,
and whatnot. But you never know what's going to happen with these darn little buggers.
Well, Slade, we know a person. This happened, I think, 3 years ago, and I can't remember the name of the exact disease they contracted, but it was from a tick bite. It was a person that shot archery, and the person nearly died. They had kidney failure, and their body started shutting down. I mean, they thought this person was going to die. And slowly but surely, this person regained their health, and it just totally devastated their whole system, all because of a little bug, And this was like one of 6 people that had ever had this, and got it from an archery tournament, outdoor archery tournament. So, and right here, you're talking about when we were at ATA, we've got this Elima Shield. This is hand sanitizer and odor killer. We were using this at ATA, and actually Danny and we came back this year and we didn't have the crud. And that's the big thing is we always seem when we were there, you shake hands, with I don't know how many people, you're in booths talking to people, and you wind up getting what we call ATA crud. You come back and you're sick for a week or 2.
Right. So. And did you get it?
So thankfully, I was only there for that one day, but I didn't from ATA. However, our whole team went to NWTF in Nashville and had a booth there, and I was actually got sick a few days or starting to get some symptoms a few days before the show, and went to the doctor and got it knocked out of my system. And but then everybody on my team got it after the show. I mean, one guy got the flu, everybody else had the cold and the crud, and they, really that whole next week our whole team was out. And then by the end of the week, I got it again, and so it really I just got over it. I've kind of had it for a couple weeks now. It's just I think we're looking at some different Facebook messages from the NWTF show. I believe probably more than half of the people that attended that show, and I think it had 59,000 people there, got it from the show.
Yeah, it don't take much, and all of a sudden, bang, it spreads like wildfire through those shows. And I guess that's why they canceled the outdoor shows here in Michigan this week.
Yeah, they canceled here in Michigan anything above
250 people.
250 people, and then now they're starting to get even probably more into that because they canceled our league. There's not more than 20 people there.
Yeah, our archery league got shut down today. We just got the email right before we went live, before we dialed you up. So our indoor archery tournament or league season is over with 2 weeks early because of that. But yeah, it just everything started shaking down real quick on that stuff. So my daughter, she works for a fast food chain,
worried about,
and they're shutting down their dining room. They're doing drive-through only. So what were you going to say?
Man, so yeah, I'm worried about the business aspect. We're starting to see it affect us a little bit right now, and thankfully I think hunters are a little stubborn and hard-headed and still don't plan to go on their hunting trips. But yeah, still it's definitely, we have a whole corporate model as well, and it's affecting our corporate side, and then just seeing all the other small businesses and even large businesses that this is just, it's affecting everybody. It's crazy.
So they're in the state of Alabama. What have they done down there so far? I mean, do you still have are schools open, or are the universities open? How's it affecting that?
So they actually are at the Alabama University. They just went on spring break this weekend through next weekend, and so they have extended the spring break, I believe, for another week, and then they will go to online classes for the rest of the semester. And so I think it's basically saying don't come back to campus unless you don't have anywhere else to go, or you don't have Wi-Fi or something to take online classes. But yeah, that's kind of the major precaution. I know a lot of schools are planning to get out this week. I think the K through 12 schools maybe on the 19th, if I remember correctly. But yeah, they're cutting out. One of the big churches that we go to is just a very large church. They're having to just go to just online services and canceling the church service. So it's affecting almost everybody.
I seen a lot of that on Facebook today. A lot of church services. I mean, we're seeing more of those online anyway. But I know here locally there were several that canceled their services this morning. So it's crazy that this is going on. And we're not trying to make light of it in any way, shape, or form. But it's just you wonder how long is this going to go on? What's going to be the peak of it? How far is this going to go before you start to see it coming back down? And we get back to what we call a normal life, so to speak. So it's crazy times.
It Absolutely.
Is. So before we let
go ahead. Speaking of that, Slade, when we interview people, and we kind of got like 5 kind of fun questions, and we might as well give them to you because you're a guest of the show. One of them is okay. All right, so it sounds like you're into turkey hunting mode or any type of hunting mode. You're getting ready to go out. And what is your favorite snack to take out with you?
Yeah, so I would say with turkey hunting, I really don't snack that much because typically I always have a mouth call in. Usually I'm running with some little protein bars and try to have a drink. But if it's something where I'm going to be able to get kind of back and forth into the truck, I really try to travel as light as I can chasing turkeys because I think today we've already, looking at my, activity tracker today, it said I've done 9 miles this morning. Like we'll cover some ground chasing birds, and you want to be as light as you can.
Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. Okay, so we got some protein bars, but you got to, if you're kind of getting geeked up, ready to get out, and maybe you got like some favorite music you got playing. What are you listening to get pumped up to get out there?
Yeah, so I'm probably a little bit unique in the aspect of my, I say unique, just not kind of what you guys are looking for, but my, just a big believer. So I'm a big kind of start my morning off where I can with worship music. And I like that, just I'm very appreciative for the opportunity to be outdoors. And I think that kind of helps you kind of enjoy it a little bit more. And being able to say, this is just being able to go is a blessing and just have the right mindset of like, it's not all about a kill. It's not all about, the hunt as much as just like being outdoors and just being thankful for that and kind of taking it all in. So I listen to some country music and everything else too, but try to start my morning off most days with some worship music.
Okay, so on that note, is it contemporary or is it the old Southern gospel style?
more contemporary, definitely. Kind of like I think Hillsong is what I typically playlist that I have on more than anything else. Some Chris Tomlin and
there you go.
Some just newer stuff, I guess.
Oh, I got you right on. That's cool. Yeah, there's a soft spot in my heart for the Southern gospel stuff. I mean, I'm, being down there, spent a lot of time down there when I was a kid. Sitting there on the front pew, and it reminded me a lot of my grandfather, and my grandmother from back in the day. Up here, a lot of it's contemporary, and our churches are up here. So I just wondered, being down home, if there was that,
okay,
where you're at on that. So, okay, Dan, go ahead.
And so this can be over any species, but what would be your favorite go-to meal? Like, whether it be a wild turkey, maybe venison, maybe elk, something. What's your go-to meal that, hey, I'm going to cook for Dan and Mike, and it's going to be?
Yeah, absolutely. So if I'm going to cook it, we've got a really good wild turkey recipe that's an oven-baked honey recipe. So, like, we take some some black and red fish, I think magic is what it's called, seasoning, and we cover the turkey breast in honey, and basically you just put it in the oven and let it cook. And that's really one of my favorite ways to cook turkey.
Man,
and so something that I do at the camp every now and then for small groups. But if I was going to tell you my favorite meal, we'd have to take it back home to the farm and let Mom whip up some fried deer steak, mashed potatoes, some peas from the garden, and put a salad with some homemade ranch dressing and a big glass of homemade sweet tea, and you can't beat that.
Okay, black-eyed peas or green peas? I know the answer to this. What's that?
Well, it's actually green garden peas. We grow we grow some green garden peas, or my grandmother does.
I would have swore it would have been like purple hull black-eyed peas. I would have bet the farm on that. Yeah, so that's what we used to grow down there on the farm down there.
We eat those often too.
That's good stuff. Doesn't matter either way; they're good.
That's awesome. Is that all the questions?
Right.
Looking back, you haven't told us how old you are, but across your hunting experience, you mentioned your grandfather, hunting with him and his Grand Slam and stuff, and then you mentioned hunting with your dad to memorialize your grandfather, chasing your Grand Slam. Looking back across all these years, what's one hunting experience or fishing, something in the outdoors that immediately comes to your mind? A story, it could be funny or something that's sentimental. What pops in your mind?
We've got one of, like I said, always spending time with my grandfather growing up, and one thing we did is we put out fish baskets in the creek that runs through our property, and some of the best catches we ever had might be 122 catfish in the basket at once. I mean, just small channel cat, but just something that really enjoyed doing every Saturday that we would run the fish baskets together, or we'd bait them up and put them out. And so something that my grandfather always remember him telling, and I was real young, and we're sitting there on the creek bank, and he's going to pull up the basket off the bank, and I'm over there, all eager to see what's in it. And well, he slips and falls into the creek, and we're on a little bank, so he had about a 3-foot, 4-foot drop down into the water, and I'm instead of checking to see if he's okay, I'm telling him that his hat's floating down the creek and running down the bank trying to get his hat. And he always used to joke and laugh and saying, quit worrying about my hat, help me get out of this cold creek. But that's just a little funny story. But we've got a million of them.
Absolutely. I don't know what it is about grandpas, man, but my grandfather passed away in 1999, and I'm not a fisherman by any stretch of the imagination, but some of the fondest memories I have is spending time with my grandfather down on the Sipsey River, down on Smith Lake, there in near Bankhead National Forest, going for crappie. Running his bass boat, wide open, bouncing down across the water. You take a big gallon jug of sweet tea with you, a basket full of sandwiches, bologna sandwiches or ham sandwiches with you, and that was the day, and you just spend from daylight to dark. He was a dairy farmer, and he grew hay and he grew corn there for the cattle, but he worked hard all of his life, and when he had those little glimpses of time when I would be down there, and he's like, son, we're load up in the morning. We're going to the river. I couldn't wait for those times, and I'd give anything to have them again. Something special about it.
Absolutely, that's awesome. That sounds very special.
And you hear stories like that all down through the South. You hear them up here in the North too, but I'm partial down South. But there's just something about the southern part of the United States to me that's just screams home to me, and just family traditions, and I don't know, things are just. It seems a little more simple down that way, and I don't mean that in a derogatory. I mean that in a good way. Things just slow down a little bit, and people take time to spend with family. And it sounds like that's kind of the situation that you're in with your family is you enjoy the outdoors, and that's awesome. That's really cool. Well, I tell
absolutely, yeah. We spend about most weekends that we can at the family farm, and most of my family lives on the farm, so it's good to kind of see everybody. And my sister just moved back, and she's got a kid, so Uncle Slade now, and it's awesome to kind of play with him, and excited to get to where we can take him on youth weekend before too long. And so definitely the family's big, and the family tradition's a big aspect as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got to take my my grandson out for his first squirrel hunt. First time he's been in the woods. He's 3.5 years old, and we went traipsing through the woods is what we did. I knew what was going to happen, but it's just that first time, that first trip, and it's something I'll always cherish. So before we let you go, though, I want, being down home in the summertime, homemade ice cream. Remember the hand crank machines? Is that a tradition in your family, or maybe sitting on the front porch eating watermelon?
Yes, we actually, especially when my grandfather was still alive, we ate watermelon often. They grew them in the garden, and that was a big tradition. And then on my dad's side of the family, I guess growing up we did a lot of the homemade ice cream. Not so much, but anymore. But when you do, it's still a special weekend. We all enjoy that.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, before we let you go, once again, we want to talk briefly, Trips for Trade. Where can they go? Who can they contact to get more information about this website and all the contact?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, the website is tripsfortrade.com, and that's the number 4. If you can go in there and look at all our trips. If it's something that you want to do, just click join at the top right. Make sure to use that promo code UpNorth20, and that's one word, and that'll save 20%. So that'll make it $100 for the year to go on as many swaps as you want. There's no transaction fees. And if you have any questions about how it works, just send us a message on our contact page, or you can email me personally at Slade, SLADE, at tripsfortrade.com. Happy to answer those emails directly and hopefully get you guys on some trips, especially with something that we're seeing right now is this with Florida and Alabama and Mississippi with turkey seasons already in swing or about to come in. Some guys up north that you got another month to wait, and you might have some time off or working remote from this virus. You might want to make a trip down to Alabama or Mississippi and hunt some turkeys. So list with us, and hopefully we can get you on a trip this year.
That's awesome. So guys and gals, get over there, take a look at it, and and sign up if that's something you guys are interested in. So I tell you what, for the podcast portion right now, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show. We'll hang on the live stream here for a few minutes afterwards and chat. But for those of you on the podcast, make sure you get over to the website, check them out, and consider taking a trip or trading a trip with somebody else and getting out in the outdoors. That'll do it for us this week, folks. And don't forget, you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Spot Shooters Archery,
Easy Cut,
Packer Max,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Scent Lock,
Scent Blocker,
Lim Walker Game Calls,
Buck Baits,
Gut Check,
Stanislawski Release Aids,
Copper John,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Sense Vapor Hunting Products,
and Rebel 6 Rubs.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe until next week on the Up North Journal.